Today we are going to start looking at a topic that's very important to marketers. Well, everything we talk about is, I hope. But this is the idea of segmentation and how we pick a target market. As we go through this process and explain what it is and what we're trying to do, you may think that it sounds a little simplistic, almost common sense. However, it does take a lot of resources to go through and do this properly, but the rewards are tremendous. So let's start looking at what we're talking about here with segmentation. First of all, let's take a look at some terms. We may talk about a population, we may talk about a segment, and we talk about target market. What's the difference between all of these? Well, if we look at what a population might be represented by, it's going to be the entire group of people out there. We're looking at the entire buyers in a geographic area, for example. Maybe we're looking within the United States. Anybody who might purchase a car could be considered the entire population. But as you know, car manufacturers don't target one car to the entire mass market. You know, they come up with different cars for different people, different groups of people. So this process of dividing the population into different groups is what we call segmentation. We're going to look within the population and find groups of people that have similar needs or usage behaviors in regards to the product we're considering. Sticking with the example of cars, we're going to look for the soccer moms who probably have more of a need for something that's a little bigger, safer, controls it, or can handle a lot of equipment, a lot of kids. We'll have cars that are extremely economical and small for people who don't have a lot of money. But in trying to determine that strategy, what cars go with what people, we have to divide up our population into these different groups who have similar needs. So again, this process of dividing the population into different groups is called segmentation. As we study these segments, which we'll talk more about in a following lecture, we will decide which of those segments are most appropriate for us. We may choose one segment, we may choose most of the segments, we may just choose a few. But the segments that we decide that we can satisfy, we can come up with a product and a strategy that will meet their needs and their wants. Those segments become our target market. Okay, so segments are out there whether we're addressing them or not. The segments we go after, though, are our target markets. So I hope that's clear to everyone. We're now going to take a look at how do we come up with those different segments. I said we try to group them together in similar usage or something that they have in common. So this is what we call our segmentation variables. When we're looking at our whole population and deciding how do we divide it up into segments. We're first off going to look at consumers. I want to illustrate what you see, or emphasize, I'm sorry, what you see at the top of the screen there. There is no best way to segment your market. What we are going to talk about are the most common methods of segmenting your market. Okay, what is used most often? You can segment your market in any way that you feel is appropriate. So one of the most common ways of segmenting the population is by demographics. We talked about this earlier in the course. Demographics are statistics that describe people, things like age and gender, geographics. So let's go through a few examples here. Think for yourself, what products are you aware of that segment their market based on age? Did you come up with any ideas? How about jean manufacturers? Any kind of clothing manufacturer, they're going to segment their market by age. What the preteen wears is much different than what a teenager wears, and is much different than people out of their teens, such as myself. You know, there's a big difference there. What about healthcare products? What about vitamins? What about health and beauty aids? Think about acne medicine. Clearasil targets a certain segment, the teenage market. Does that mean once you hit 20 you quit breaking out? No. No, you don't. But they decide they're going to target that particular segment. A product that segments their market by gender, deodorant. What's the difference between a man's deodorant and a woman's deodorant? Basically the fragrance. The product is essentially the same, but they have segmented their market by gender, and they're going to develop a different strategy for each one. Geographically, think of a product like Alka-Seltzer or Tylenol cold and flu. While they sell their product all over the U.S., there's going to be an intense strategy during the winter months in those cities and states that have very cold seasons. You're not going to see such an intense promotion in Florida, for example. Another common variable is psychographics. And psychographics is just one of these really cool words. Try and work it into a conversation sometime and you'll impress people. Psychographics is the study of lifestyles. We look at how people live their life and what they have in common and how we can meet them there at where they are. What you see listed on the screen are two common techniques. The first one is discussed in your textbook quite a bit. It's known as the VALS system. VALS stands for values and lifestyles. And it divides up people, segments the population, according to what's important to them and where they are in their stage of life. The second one I would like to talk about in more detail. The AIOs stand for attitudes, interests, and opinions. Now I want you to think about it for a minute. What kind of activity do you really enjoy? Maybe you enjoy going to sporting events. Maybe you enjoy going to movies, concerts. There's probably some events that you really enjoy. When you go to those places, do you sit there and stare at all the sponsorship paraphernalia that's around? No. But you do see it, you're exposed to it. So here you are in a situation, enjoying yourself, doing something that's important to you that you really like, and these companies are a part of it by sponsoring that. An example is a study was done a number of years ago after the Winter Olympics that featured Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding. And as you all know, there was a big controversy on that. But what it did is really boosted ratings for the Winter Olympics. For the first time, men and women, huge numbers, were turning in watching skating. Let's be honest, a lot of them were just hoping to see a cat fight on ice, but they were watching. And as a result, people said, it's kind of interesting watching this skating. It's fun. There's a lot of good things about this. And so there was a new interest that people started realizing they liked. Does that mean people pay to go see skating as much as they do football games every week? No. Do they watch it on TV every day? No. But they like it enough so that when you get a company like Visa or Discover Card or Campbell's, they saw that interest and they sponsored professional skating tours. They sell out all the time. They're very popular. This is an example of how you could use people's attitudes, interests, and opinions to try and be where they are. The last one we're going to look at is behavior segmentation. I'd like you to think for a minute about your toothpaste. Hopefully everybody watching this used some toothpaste today. Why did you use the brand you did? And you're probably going to have a number of reasons. Some of you are going to say habit, which would be like brand loyalty. Some at price. Some were, it was the closest one in the store, so convenience. It may be the options or the special things they promote about it. Tartar control, plaque control, freshens your breath, extra whitening, sensitive. Here's a product that the entire population uses. Yet what they're looking for and how they actually use it differs greatly. This is why Colgate and Crest, etc., invent all these different types of toothpaste, because they realize that there's a lot of segments within the population that have different needs and wants in terms of how they use the product. So those are the most common type of consumer segmentation variables. Let's take a look now at the B2B segmentation variables. Again, we're looking at the most common ones. You can do any way that you choose. One way that is used very often to segment our B2B market is using the North American Industrial Classification System. And this gives you a lot of statistics and data on different industries. So companies are grouped together by industry, and you can do research that way. It doesn't give you information on specific companies, but just the industry. A second common way of segmenting our B2B market is by their size. Their size may be the number of employees. For example, if we were selling healthcare plans to companies, we'd want to know how many employees a company has so we would know which plan to take in to offer them. We may also, though, under size, look at the amount of revenue that they can generate for our company as well. And the third type is usage. This means how are they going to use our product? Will they be using it in their daily operations? Will they be using it to resell? Will it be a component part into something that they make? In that case, whatever the decision is, how it's going to be used will affect how important the brand is, the pricing, etc. So let me make one comment before we go on to our summary here, and that is I have told you the most common ways to segment your market. Again, there's no best way, and it is very common to use a combination of variables, not just one. So let's wrap this up for today. In summary, segmentation allows the marketers to assess who is most likely to purchase our product. This allows us to know who we should target, who we should go after, who we should devote our resources towards. And the smart marketer understands the importance of efficient usage of organizational resources. We don't want to waste our labor hours, our human resources, our financial resources, or any other that are at our disposal. We want to make sure that they are addressed towards the people who are most likely to buy and be satisfied by our offering. That is it for today. We'll see you next time.